everyone. How we doing today?
We're doing good, man. Blessed.
Amazing. This is a beautiful month of Ramadan. It's almost over. We wait for it to come, and it's a good feeling. You know, we'll get into that. We are 100 Years Enterprise. My name is Fahim, have Hamza, Rakin, and we don't normally have guests, but we go into another realm, another area and direction of things what we say with 100 years. We have our beautiful esteemed brother. He go back with us. He's been through it, been through the trenches, and he gonna get into that just like us. Born and raised in Oakland, California, grew up in North Oakland. He transferred and made a progression to East Oakland, 6-9 Village, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and his name is Tasneem. So we invite Tasneem on our podcast today. And we want to continue to just, talk about the impact of Islam. Islam is part 2. It impacts us not just from an external view, our view, but also from an inner view, for us being able to just finding out who we were and who we are as human beings, what direction we're trying to go through in life, but also before finding that direction, being able to save our lives. Islam saved our lives. And I want to begin with that and bring in my good brother Hamza.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan Kareem.
I just want to say, man, that it's a pleasure to have our guests on here, man. I go back with him. We went to the same high school together. We were cellies when we first was arrested and was fighting our case.
Yes,
so I know this brother real well. We changed our life. We accepted Islam. And now we out here with our families, creating, being, as they say, imams to our family, starting businesses and everything, traveling. So it's just a beautiful thing, man, to be able to sit here and discuss, the impact of what Islam did for us. You know what I mean? So anyone who's listening, man, this is a good part 2 with our guest Tasneem.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum, brothers. It's always a beautiful day. When we wake up, to be able to get up. I mean, we got all our limbs. We can do the things that we want to do.
Absolutely.
And to see this good brother, Tasneem, it's truly a blessing. It's one of our brothers. And I just met the brother probably about a year ago, Hakeem?
Yes.
About a year ago. And we embrace the brother. And that's what we do as Muslims. You know what I'm saying? Embrace each other. He stayed from Oakland. I'm from Richmond. Oakland. Richmond. But as Muslims, we all come together. It ain't about where you from.
Yep, Oman.
It's not about that. It's about coming together and pushing Islam, the right way. And this is a very beautiful day. It's always beautiful, like I said, you know what I'm saying? But I just want to say to everybody that's looking, remember this day, remember this moment, seeing us come together, as brothers. And even if you're not a Muslim, we still should come together. Unity. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, that was a real good intro from everyone. And we're gonna ask our brother Tasneem a few questions. And the first question I have for you, Tasneem, is what made you to say, hey, I want to turn my life around and accept Islam in your life?
I think for me, I just got tired of all the ruckus. Just the day-to-day, on and on chaos. It just, as human beings, we at one point in our lives we get tired of that. Some guys and women, they can just go and go and go. But I grew up around pimps, players, and hustlers and all that.
Right.
But I also grew up around some decent people.
Mm-hmm.
Even those pimps, players, and hustlers, they were also decent people.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? They just went down a different road, like we all did. We went down a different road that the other good people chose to stay on that good road. We just chose a different road.
Yes.
But, as time went on and, like Hamza said, us growing up together and being around certain people, you start seeing, that they got he got some peace in his life. Then you start looking in the mirror and question, do I got some peace? I don't think I really have some peace in my life. I'm constantly into something.
I got a quick question, because you said ruckus. What you mean by staying away from the ruckus?
The negativity that at one point in my life that I embraced and loved to be a part of. That's the ruckus. That ruckus was at one point in my life like, man, this is it. I like this. But then, as you know, as it say in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as a child you thought as a child, but when you became a man, you put away childish things.
Absolutely.
So, growing up, and because to be honest, I'm gonna be honest and tell the truth. I grew up and matured while being locked up. I didn't mature on the streets.
How long were you locked up?
26 years and 8 months.
Woo. And when and what part of that time did you accept Islam?
About 5 years in. About four to 5 years in. 4 years, because 94. Yep. 94 is when I took my shahada.
So basically you say 94 and you left the streets in what year?
90.
In 90, so 4 years later. So you knew
Yeah.
at that particular time.
Yeah,
it was time to change.
I needed a change.
Exactly.
Because, you know, going to the hole and getting into fights and just want to prove your point to somebody just that you ain't with the madness, that gets old too.
It does. See,
So-
and you know, in the youth and people, they need to hear this.
Yes.
You know, when you come through the county jails,
Yeah.
reception centers, and then how it is when you get to the prison. Because people hear about us changing our lives.
Yes, sir.
You know, and they ask them, of course, what part, you know what I'm saying, of our prison sentence did we decide to make that change, and what made us do that?
Yes,
so
sir.
that's very good, brother. That
Yes,
you,
sir.
you know, you made them changes, you know, and we all did at a particular time that we saw and deemed fit for
Yes,
us
sir.
to do that. Yes.
And the crazy part about when I made the change was, I'll never forget the person who gave me my shahada. His folks and my folks were enemies on the street.
What? Hold on. They were enemies?
Yes.
Like fighting, shooting, what? I mean,
Yeah, both.
they was doing all that.
Yeah, but they all grew up together, though.
Grew up together.
But just went separate ways.
And one of
And
them,
became enemies at odds with each other based on money,
mm-hmm.
based on power. So that person, you know, who I love dearly, I consider to be one of our brothers. We all know him.
Yes.
I won't say his name, but we know who he is.
Yes.
He gave me my shahada, and it's been on ever since.
Wow. See, that's
And I didn't see that person for years until I went to Solano, and we was on the yard together, and when we saw each other, we just embraced, and it's my brother, man. Yeah, that's our brother.
our brother.
So,
Enemies became friends and brothers.
yes, as Allah said in the Quran.
Yes. He said, yeah.
that He'll turn your hearts around, where you become
Yeah.
brothers.
And he also said
that
we-
once you were enemies.
On the brink of the fire.
Yeah, bring it to fire.
Yeah.
Like my mom used to say, I wish you and Darrell, y'all come up out of the streets. Y'all keep on, y'all gonna bust hellfire wide open. On the brink of fire.
On the brink of fire.
Yeah, I got a question for you too, because you know we go back, you know, we was already in the county fighting,
Yes.
you know, our murder cases and whatnot, right?
Yes.
But I think it's important that we highlight these things because
Yes.
it's people coming behind us that is experiencing the same thing that we're talking about,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so, my thing is the same person that you identified with that was your enemy. I went through that same thing, you know. But
Yes.
my thing was, I looked up to somebody, you know. Okay, I looked to my folks, but there was other people that different parts of Oakland that I looked up to. I won't say name.
Exactly.
And he was one of the biggest dope dealers in Oakland.
Yes. Yes.
But he when he was in fighting this case, he was Muslim. He came from a background of Muslims.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I see him, he was the only one in North County when everybody's fighting murders, where we was at, was going to Juma by himself. The imams to come pull him out.
Mhm.
And I was 19 and I was up against it. And I used to look at him. And he knew I had a partner that was cool with one of his partners. He used to call the same number, and he knew everything about me. So it was like, okay.
Yeah.
So he like, man, you know, come to Juma with me.
Yeah.
Because he knew I admired it. This is a beautiful story because
Yeah.
it's the same people we talking
And
about.
I know exactly. Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
so he say, man, come to. I'm like, John, you know what I mean? I said, what are you doing over there? But I'm looking at maybe if I go with him, I'm gonna get on his status in my criminal thinking. Yeah, he's
The
big.
criminal
I'm like, man, if I ain't
yeah.
kicking with him, I'm gonna be okay. You know what I mean? So I said, man, to myself, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go because you asked me. Right?
Yeah.
And I know if you ask me, that's a gateway for me to, he like me and
Explore.
I can explore, right? In my criminal, in my, little sick mind.
Yeah.
So he introduced me to Islam in the sense that whereas the Imam came out, I was young, and the Imam just told me to sit and listen. And then when they close out, they would close out with the Fatiha, you know? It was basically, he was giving Juma because he was coming
What's that
Friday.
Fatiha?
The Fatiha?
Yeah.
The Fatiha is the opening of the book, right? The first verse of the Quran. And it also is the opening where we do all our salats. When we do our prayers, we open with the Fatiha. And it just means the opening, right? And so when he did that, I didn't know later on down the line that I was gonna become Muslim. I like what he's doing. So I'm gonna hang when I leave here. Whatever happens to me, I'm gonna hang with this connection because I'm gonna be connected to him.
Yeah. Yes.
But the point of what I'm saying is that Allah give us those provisions to say you can be persuasive to encourage somebody to become Muslim. Right? The thing is to give them the idab, the knowledge, to make it prevalent. Then I have a choice. And he did that for me. And that was somebody that was considered, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
one of the biggest dope dealers in Oakland,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
And I looked at it from that standpoint. If I hang with him, I'm going to be on that page. That's how stupid I was in my criminal
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
But later on, I praised him for that. Like, man,
Yeah.
it was much, him to become Muslim. So my question to you is this. By you, that brother that was considered, your enemy, right? From where you sit. How impactful was that? That he was willing, because we had to give him praise for that.
Yes.
To set aside the differences and say, hey man, we can unify under this book right here, under this Quran.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He gave you deen.
Yeah.
He gave you the truth.
Yes.
But how impactful was that?
Very, very impactful. To the point to where even when I stood up to deliver the khutbah, which is our Fridays talk that we do on Fridays before we even make prayer, and the term is khutbah, which is a sermon, a talk, a lecture. I used to always give him, not to the point where I was, putting him on a pedestal, but letting everybody know that Allah is real in my life. And Allah is real in all our lives and in his life. Because that day when he came into that pod, one of my homies, that we was homies on the street, was having negative thoughts about him when he seen him at the door. So, and look how Allah works. Allah is so amazing, man, that you just gotta humble yourself. You just gotta submit, man. Before he even came into the pod, over the loudspeaker, they called for my homie to pack his stuff because he was moving to North County to start trial.
What is the pod? So just
A pod is a little section in the county jail in Santa Rita. And we was in Max. So in that area or section or pod, he was called out before the other guy came in. And at that moment, I didn't trip until years later. I was like, man, it was meant.
Man.
See how Allah works.
It was meant.
you get that message.
Cause they could have clashed.
Yeah.
Could have clashed.
Because if they clashed, then here I am.
In the middle.
I'm
You in the middle. Yeah. And we see that today in the society.
And as soon as he went out and he came in and put his stuff in his cell, we immediately went to the table. Because we knew each other from the street.
Yes.
We immediately went to the table. It's like, man, whatever we got going on the street, we putting that past us, man. We putting that behind us.
Absolutely.
He said, look here, man. And we sat there and talked to all the way up to the time it was time for us to lock up.
Mm.
And one of our brothers who passed away, Brother Taishiri, his brother Ansari was there. And he brought us together. It was so crazy.
Can I say something about real quick about the brother Tashir?
Yes.
Rest in peace, Tashir.
Yes, yes.
And he one of the ones who brought me to Islam. Watching his behavior, we was in CYA.
Alhamdulillah.
But
Yeah.
Tashiri had a cold name on the street.
Yeah.
What was his name? Killer Reg.
Yep, Killer Reg. Yep.
That was a cold name.
Yep. His
To
brother-
have that and then become Tashiri.
And it goes back to like what Hamza was saying about, you know, that person who called him,
Yes.
having this esteem, far as the street go, of being that person. What the Prophet said about delivering the dawah or teaching someone else who has that same esteem, because they see that person become Muslim,
Yeah.
they gonna want to become Muslim too.
Exactly.
What is that? We look at Umar. Umar was an enemy of Prophet Muhammad.
He was.
May peace and praise of Allah be upon him. But because of his stance, his character, because of his statue in that community,
People came.
it's like, man, Umar do what I can
Do
do.
it. Yes.
I'm following Umar. Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace and praise of Allah be upon him, said that those of you who were the best in the Jahiliyyah would be the best in Islam.
Absolutely.
And we all come from that Jahiliyyah, which means ignorance.
Yes.
We was living that ignorant lifestyle. And look at us now. We sitting at the table talking about the one who created us.
Because he could have threw us to the side and said,
Yeah.
and replaced us
But
with anybody.
that wasn't his plan.
Yeah.
I just want to let me say this right quick, you know, because this discussion and how you telling your story, this is very beautiful. And the reason why I say it's beautiful because it's showing how one can rectify his differences.
Absolutely.
You know, with the brother that you was enemy with.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so people that looking at this, man, we can set our differences to the side and come together as one. You
Yeah.
know, and that's the beauty in this.
Yep.
You know, Allah God, you know, He will make it happen. You know, but we have to be willing.
Yep.
I mean, because yeah, we all, you know, was up here at one point in time, and some of us might stay up here and don't never come down.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but we was put in a situation what led us to prison, and then in prison we found ourselves. But we had to find ourselves first to make that transition.
yes.
To say, well, let me become a Muslim. You know, but you had
Yes.
to identify, you know, the negative traits and negative thoughts that we was having within. You know, so that's the beauty. You know, that y'all will be able to come together. You know, so. Like I said, I hope everybody see this and be like, okay, them brothers can put they, you know, these was killers. They put their differences to the side. Why
Yeah.
we can't?
Yeah.
I mean, because honestly, even the real, we all family.
We
We all
Real
family.
talk.
You
Real
know,
talk.
so I wanna impose this question on you. When you made that transition to become a Muslim, how long did it take for you to go through that process for it to get all the negative, you know, thoughts and negative behavior, the criminal thinking, you know, that one had? Because we just don't come, we don't just don't come a Muslim and then we just automatically, we everything positive.
Right.
We don't, it don't work like that. So how long did it actually take, you know, that process take for you to just really humble yourself and say, and start walking on the straight path, the Sirata Mustaqim? I mean, we're not perfect.
No, we're not.
But everything is, like I said, is a process. So how long did it take you?
It's still a process.
Yeah.
It's still a process. And for one to sit here and say that, you know, they reached that plateau, I don't think we'll ever reach that plateau. You just gotta just humble yourself. But in that process, there's constant growth. There's constant maturity where I can learn from you, him, whoever.
Yes.
them. We're constantly learning. We were taught to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave, even when we have to go to China for it. We're seeking this knowledge with humility, for growth, for maturity, and to get closer and closer and closer to our Creator. And the closer we get to our Creator, the more humble we become, because we know we in that realm of submission, that we submit even more, whether we're doing more worship, more charity, more whatever. It's based on our maturity in the deen, which is our way of life of Islam. So I would say it's still happening. But for me to just reach that point of discipline, I would say at least 5 years of just straight, just hammering down on myself. Because you said it. Before I even took that step, I had to know myself first. So reading, So I had to, from constant studying and reading books on history and books about, spiritual books. Even with that brother, when he came into that dormitory or that pod, he came with a bag full of books. I read every book he had. The whole time we was in that building, that pod together.
Right.
Every book that he had, the truth about Jesus, alayhi salam, the truth about Muhammad, who is Muhammad, the life of Muhammad, Sahih Bukhari, just reading everything pertaining to Islam, and then all of a sudden, Allah hit me. I think you ready. And what happened? We went to service. In what's the room was called, multi-purpose room?
Yeah. Interfaith.
Interfaith room.
Yeah.
We went, and that was the first time I heard the Adhan. Blew my mind. I was like, man, this is it. I'm good.
Heard that call.
Heard that call. Yes.
That
And
was
I
that call.
responded.
Yeah.
And when we told the brother that I told the imam that I wanted to take, it was Abdullah from Masjid al-Islam and what?
Mustafa?
Yeah, but it was another brother it was Abdullah who was coming in. It used to be Abdullah and Imam Michael Salam.
Oh yeah.
So and Imam Rashid Shabazz, Rahimullah.
Yeah, good brother.
He said, who brought you into Islam? The brother right here. I let the brother give you shahada. And I repeated after him. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship but Allah, and that Muhammad ibn Abdullah from over 1,425 years ago is his messenger. I took shahada. And the proper pronunciation is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. So I submitted. So from that point, I continued to study. Reading, and just, trying to get closer to my Lord, because coming from the lifestyle we all came from,
Yes.
I was like, man, I don't never want to be that person again.
Absolutely. That's deep.
So let me say this though. This to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So, is it fair to say that Islam saved our lives?
Yes, truly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That could start with me. When Brother Tasneem just said the Shahada, we had to testify. We had to articulate the two testimonies, because the Shahada is a testimony, right? To say, I had to testify to say, I'm not going to do a thing, right? So I can do something. So I had to stop doing all that bad things to say, okay, I'm going to do what's necessary, what's good in my life. And so if I would have stayed on that negative path, I was what Malcolm X said, El Hasbik al Shabazz, right? May Allah rest his soul. He said, We were like walking dead men. So I was walking, hearing, seeing, saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things, blindly, right?
Sure.
So I was blindly following things. What wasn't conducive to my growth and development as a man, as a human being. And so yes, Islam saved me, you know, so through the power and the mighty and the grace of Allah, through his mercy, he said, hey, take this medicine, you sick, take this healing,
Yeah.
take a drink,
Yeah.
right? Because this, what I'm about to give you is more powerful than anything you ever had in your life.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? From Hennessy's, everything else I was taking. But Islam came along and gave me good brothers. And you see that picture right there?
Mm.
That's a testimony right there. Every
Yes,
time I look
yes,
at that picture,
yes.
every time I look at my brothers who I love,
Yes. Yes.
Islam saved me because I could have been out there right now. Or still locked up in prison.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But many of our brothers still are.
A lot of our brothers.
Right? Allah could have said, hey, nah, you ain't ready. Stay there until you get it together. And he told me that 3 times. Because it took me 4 times to come home. So when it was ready for me, when he was ready for me, to know my life was ready, to do and to serve a purpose, and like Umar, I don't have to do, what does everyone else, get the message, because the message wasn't for me, to get it and to give it. And that's what we doing with it.
Mhm.
Whew. Okay. Yeah. That's a deep point you make, but I'm gonna just go on the alcove, the heart. He changed my heart
Yes. Yes.
because me being coming from a lifestyle thinking I'm Syrian American dream. It's serious because
Yes.
when we dealing with criminal thinking and mental health, right? And coming from an environment that's all you see, and you have to choose one of them to exist, right? We had the opportunity behind bars with a life sentence, right? Imagine that. A life sentence with no promised date to be free, right? Allah came to us in that moment and changed the condition of our heart. Because when he changed the condition of our heart, we became humble. Because I'm telling you, I can testify to this. I wouldn't have been humble as I am today, right? To be on that picture, to be on that photo, right? Without humility. Because I would never been able to practice what Allah ordained for me to practice. See, because humility takes out the arrogance. And I was very arrogant and challenging. You know what I mean?
Oh, you know, I know you. I was there.
You know, it's that's the mercy. And that's why we do what we do. It comes from something. And it's not like Rakim always say, this is not a hoax. This is not a fictitious or fake news or anything that we're trying to impress upon somebody or to, you know, give the wrong impression. This is who we are. And we love it because it took something bigger than ourselves, right, to unify us first. Change the condition of the heart, then ordain us to be unified in it. I had to come out and bow down with y'all. I couldn't just say, you know, if I hear the call, I had to be humble enough to receive the call, right? And then walk on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path. And the straight path is you only as good as you surround yourself with. One for your brother, one for yourself, right? And join the ranks and hold on to the rope of Islam. I hold those things dear, and with that being said, it didn't matter if you was from El Segundo. If you was a good brother and you have my best interest at heart, I'm align myself with you. And that's just how it came. It went past territorial.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? And I just wanted to share that with you guys, man. That's powerful, DT. You know what I mean?
And you know, I always got to be honest with myself because it's bitter and sweet. And the reason why I say that, and I wouldn't have did what I did, you know. And I'm not, I don't condone, you know, my behavior as a youngster, the things that I did, the pain that I've caused. I don't condone that because I was out of pocket, you know. But if that wouldn't have happened, and me going to prison for a very long time, and connecting with different brothers and receiving the message of Allah, I wasn't gonna change. If I would have stayed on the streets, I wasn't gonna change. And if I wouldn't have found that message or heard that message, I'll tell you why. because I felt wasn't nothing wrong with me. So if I felt that, then why should I change?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but Allah is merciful. You know, Allah will place people in your life for different reasons. And He placed me in Solano when He did to connect with the brothers, connect with the brother Haskia, you know, which led me to go to Juma to meet the brother Sharif. You know, so Allah,
The Sheikh.
the Sheikh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Islam made me a better person all the way around. I grew up in prison. Islam taught me how to be a man. So that's the beauty in Islam. You know, that's the beauty in that. You know, I'm thankful to be amongst the brothers, and I just want people when they see this, even the brothers inside, man, let's come together. You know, and let's push because it's about unity. And we're not gonna leave our brothers behind. We're gonna make sure our brothers is taken care of, and that we're gonna do what we
Yes,
gotta
sir.
do.
Yes, sir.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So this is a beautiful thing, you know. So yes, if I would have became a Muslim, I probably would be dead, or I probably would still, like Brother Fahim said, I probably would still be in prison, or doing some things that I shouldn't be doing. You know?
Or still causing havoc in society.
Exactly. So it's still a blessing.
That's the thing, brothers. The lifestyle that we came from, we were poisoned, man.
Yes.
We was poisoning our community. We was taking part in destroying our community.
Well,
I remember, and this is how I knew that the maturity had set in. I wrote a letter to OPD apologizing for not only being a part of destroying our community, but for causing them so much havoc on that day. Because that's stress.
yeah.
And then Hamza just hit on a point that just lit a light. We had to choose from criminal thinking or a mental disorder.
Yeah.
And then we look into society today, there's so many young people, man, who have mental issues, man, and they don't know how to deal with them. They don't go to counseling. Islam brought me to counseling. They don't seek help. Islam taught me how to seek help. Starting with the Creator. Praying to the Creator, He gonna put the necessary people in my life that I need that's gonna help me mature and grow to be the human being that I need or that He created me to be. That's what Islam did. Islam showed me my humanity, man. Showed me how to be a decent human being. That's what Islam did for me. It showed me how to care for other people and not just walk by people and ignore them. My wife always says that she don't know how people can just, especially with, the so-called people moving into the, into the neighborhoods now, where they can just walk by people that see them down and out. And then you act like that's normal. It's not normal.
Exactly.
They gentrified people.
Yes, it's not normal. So Islam brought that out of me to put away that bad and acknowledge what's in your soul, man. All the heart. Allah softens the heart so we can hear. If the heart is hard, it's going to be like that barren rock. It produces nothing. That's what the Quran says. That's what Allah says.
Yes.
It's not going to produce anything. But when a heart is soft, when it receives the watering, it becomes fruitful. It produces. That human being, that human life. You know that little Duvall living my best life?
Yes.
My best life is Islam. That's my best life.
David, he be getting it too.
Yeah.
He make me want to do it.
Yeah. My best life.
Yeah. Man,
I thought that life in the past was the best life because you had a few dollars and a few little trinkets and toys and all. That
when
wasn't
you
the
get it
best
the right
life.
way, it's the best.
It's the best.
Yes.
It's the best because you ain't got to worry about nobody taking it from you, meaning the popos.
Right.
I ain't got to worry about you coming get my home or my cars and none of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's paid for, it's mine. So Islam, man, it helped me deal with my past, it helped me deal with my present, and it helped me deal with the future. Who do you want to be, or how do you want to be remembered when you pass away?
Exactly.
Because that day is promised to everyone.
Yes.
So, like I was sharing with y'all, listening to Imam Siraj Rawaz talking about that hadith or the saying of Prophet Muhammad, may peace and praise of Allah be upon him, where he said, "You not be judged by your first deeds, but by your last." So how do we want our last to be? We sure didn't want that past to be our last.
Absolutely.
Allah saved us, man.
Yeah.
Allah saved me, and I'm grateful to Allah. You know, sometimes I get on myself for not doing enough, like not reading the Quran enough. I get on myself about that, and it bothers me because I'm like, you slipping. Some people be like, but you do read the Quran. Yeah, but I don't read it how I used to.
Right.
I need to stay in it. Do you still study the life of the Prophet? I haven't read a book on the life of the Prophet in years.
Yeah.
But I have the book. So the things that help me become a Muslim, I need to stay doing that.
Absolutely.
And then that way, those last deeds, because you never know when that call is coming,
No.
I can return the correct way and not the wrong way.
Absolutely.
So,
You know.
I mean, Allah is in charge. Allah is the creator. He knows what's in our all, as Hamza said. He changed all our calls, our hearts. So I'm grateful to Allah. I praise Allah's name. And I'm grateful for my brothers for even inviting me. They don't have to invite anybody, but they invited me. So I heard the call. I humbly accept, and I'm grateful that the brothers, reached out to me, and even my wife said, "You better go."
That's right. That's right.
I'm here. So
Yeah, man, that was deep. With everybody, brothers, man, I love y'all. Hey,
love you too, Aki. Yes, sir.
before we close out, we all gonna have something else to say. But Allah tell us that, we plot the plan, but Allah is the best of planners, right? He tells us all the time that He is the best of planners. And before I was paroled, I had a plan to go to Sacramento, right? That's I was gonna parole to Sacramento, to my ex and all that. Things didn't work out for whatever reason. I wanted to go to a halfway house in Hayward. What was that? 7th Step.
Yeah, 7 step.
I heard about the freedoms that it had. I'm like, okay, I'm going to 7th Step. That didn't happen. I ended up in downtown Oakland at the VOA. So those things, a lot changed. And it was a lot of things that I wanted to do before I stayed away from my environment and going back to the old neighborhoods and all that. And in 1991, a good close friend of mine, he was about to come visit me. We talked to him and everything. I had talked to him on the phone that weekend. He was going to come visit me. I'm a CYA. He ended up getting killed. At a young age. And then it affected me. It affected me so much that I know Allah says you're gonna always reflect. He said He's al fakir. And then the Quran, He said, got the fucking room, those who reflect. And here I am out. I said I was gonna be an iron worker. I came home to becoming a laborer. So those things I planned for, but Allah changed all the plans I had. And to make a long story short, the exact same place where my close friend was killed at, I am now, as of Friday, just passed, working in that exact same place where he was killed at. I had to walk by the spot where my other good friend described to me on the phone where he was killed at. Talk about Barry.
Yeah.
And It affected me the whole day. Then I had to call my friend Eddie. I said, man, what's this? He said, man, he told me exactly where it was at. And I'm looking there, I'm like, wow. And now Allah got me working in that exact same area
Alhamdulillah.
for the next 2 weeks.
Those who
Inshallah. And so it touched me. And that's the exact same neighborhood where I grew up at. So here I am back working in the exact same neighborhood where I grew up at. That's the power of Allah. So now Allah is telling me, now what you gonna do?
Sir.
That's the test now. Now what you gonna do? You gonna stay on your deen or you gonna go back? That's his test. So if we don't recognize the things what Allah put in front of us, you're running to a wall. And now I recognize that that's a sign from Allah. Saying, what you gonna do? Stay on the straight path.
The brother pointed me out ayat in the Quran. I'm gonna read it, and then I guess we can elaborate before we close. You want to say this for the end? You want to do it for the end, or you just do it?
Yeah, on the end.
We'll do it now. Okay, we'll say it for the end. I just want to say about the month of Ramadan, right? The month of fasting, as well as what we're talking about. You know, the gathering was today, talking about what impact Islam has done for us. In closing, I just say that that's part of why 100 years do what we do. We want for our brothers, we want for ourselves, but we also supposed to come back and be a light to our communities, right? Because we made amends, right, through the Shahada. That was part of our making our amends, right? And then standing in Qiyam, upright, right? And walk the Surat al-Mustaqim, right? The straight path, right? And then we teach that to those who's around. That's why I always say you're the good as you surround yourself with. Because there be days that I lean to the left. But I know I got a brother, when I lean to the left, what he gonna do, man? Say, stand up, man. I go this way, man. Stand up, man. Stay on the straight path. And we hold ourselves accountable to what Allah say, because why? We say we strive to be mu'min. We strive to be believers. And we want to stay on the day of standing that we served our Lord according to his will. So with that being said, everything we do at this point in our lives, right, we try to do it in his grace, right, in his mercy, to help others see what we see before they fall out of path, right, that can be destruction, or as we say in our website, get them from, how can I put it, or making early death decisions. Because that's what we did.
Yeah.
We actually did that. We made an early death decision and literally was incarcerated.
Yes.
So I just want us to understand, for those who's watching, the purpose of why we do what we do. And this is the best way of doing it, by showing it through our conduct, which is our adab, and talking about what we learned and what we, to appreciate, in grace to Allah, how important this moment is in our life. So with that being said, I just want to say, alhamdulillah, all praise due to Allah. And I will be nothing without him and without the brotherhood that keeps me going on the daily. So I appreciate you, brother. Sure.
Allah is Akbar all the time. Allah got our back. And like I said, before, it's truly a blessing. It's going to always be a blessing. We out here pushing and being around the brothers. And I just want to say this, before we close out, is that we want to make a change. We want to make a difference. I always said to myself, if I ever got out, I would reach back to those that was in the same position that I was in once upon a time. Because brotherhood goes a long ways. It don't just brotherhood out here. We got to extend our brotherhood back into the prisons. Because we also got brothers, in prison that's still striving and still struggling. So that's what we do, and that's what we're going to continue to do. Because a lot of brothers, didn't reach back the way they were supposed to. So let us make a change. Let us do that, and we're going to continue to do that. And it's a blessing to be here today, and I thank Allah every day to see another day, to be where I'm at today with the brothers. Assalamu alaikum.
Once again, I'm humbled to be here with the brothers. being their guest.
Nah, you our brother.
Alhamdulillah.
Ain't no guest.
Alhamdulillah. To be here is an honor, and to be a part of 100 years, because literally, with all the time that we have done, and our sentences, it's way over 100.
Very old.
So, as Hamza said, to be in those places without having a promise date, it can play with this. But Allah talked to us through this, that kept this strong, so we didn't waver or fall. Because we've all seen people waver and fall because they didn't know how to deal with that time. And because of Islam in our lives, we were blessed to deal with that time. We was able to be strong and not fall victim to drugs, whatever it may have been, because you didn't know how to deal with, man, I'm in here. Wow, this is deep. Oh, yeah, it's deep. But then once you start realizing, man, I put myself in here. So what I need to do is get myself right so I can get right with my Lord. Because of what I did in my past, that's not right with my Lord. So I need to correct that. But by correcting that, I got to know thyself so I can know my Lord. So Islam, man, once again, I got to acknowledge the brother who even came to me with the Islamic books, let me read the books, and even also gave me my shahada. All that was Allah's plan. We plan, but Allah is the best of planners. Allah says in the Quran that He does not change the condition of the individual until they first change that which is in themselves. So Allah touched our hearts, and because He touched our hearts, that allowed us to change. And in that changing, because it could be a flip side of that too. You could be on the straight path and then get an arm's length from death and become like the people of the hellfire. So it's another part of that too. And our brother Fahim mentioned earlier about the two testimonies. When we say La ilaha, there is no God or no deity, we're about to negate something. Because that's the first part. But Allah. So now we negated all the falsehood that we were worshiping. The streets, the pimps, the players, the hustlers. We negated all that. The false deities. And then we embraced His messenger, His prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So may peace and praise of Allah be upon him. So by negating something and embracing one thing, we get to know how to worship Him, and that's through His messenger, Prophet Muhammad. And I'm humble, and I'm grateful that Allah saved me. I'm grateful that He saved all of us, because here we are, we sitting, we elaborating, we're blessed to be with our families, man, because we know a lot who are not, like the brother Rakin just said about. We can't forget about those brothers. And then we know brothers like Fahim just shared with us about him losing his best friend. We know a lot of people who died, man, in them streets. We know a lot of people who died in them prisons. Trying to do too much. Swallowing drugs, all kind of stuff. Then it just bursts in their system and they die right there. Somebody you grew up with, you just watch them die right in front of you. Why? Because we trying to still be nickel slick. The criminal thinking, the mental thinking, or mental disorders, we didn't put all that behind us. Now we're thinking with the thoughts of Allah. Alhamdulillah.
So you got something you want to share?
This verse, man, that I'm about to share, it stayed with me, and it still stays with me the whole time I was incarcerated up until now. And it says, the Arabic is مَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيَرَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ عَلَى ما أنتم عليه حتى يمير خيب خبيثة من الضعيف. And that is, Allah will not leave the believers in the condition in which you are in until He separates the evil from the good.
Bam. And that's over 1,400 years ago. 25 years ago, right? And that was real. And it's forever. It's for right now. It's for present times. So us as a community, we got to change. We got to get the kids. We got to get these youth. We got to get ourselves and change ourselves, right? So we want to be that, but become other than what Allah. So we become what Allah wants us to do. You know, we thank you, Tasneem, for coming on. 100 years. Rakin, Hamza, my man Chuck T, for Rich Studio Studios. We thank you behind the camera, always supporting us. And we tell all our viewers, you can find us at 100years.biz. Go to that website. Where else can they find us at?
They can also find us on YouTube as well as Instagram on 100 Years. What's that? 100 Years?
100 Years DLP on the Instagram and YouTube 100 Years Enterprise.
Absolutely. And we out. We about to say our prayer.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Mashallah.